Hi students, this video is to review your strong interest report and the results that you received from your strong interest inventory. Again, this is important to go through because your results are pretty individualized for you, and these are pretty well-known assessments that individuals take in the career field. And so if you were to take this outside of a school setting with a career counselor, it could be at a higher rate, cost you more money, but because it's embedded in this class, it's really nice that you get to take these assessments and then get results. So we're going to go over this information. And so your results should have been emailed to you, and so they should come, and when you open up the document, it should look like this with your name printed here. And so let's go over the results, and it's a little bit more in depth than the MBTI, but I'm going to highlight some of the most important pieces, although I encourage you to read every word from your results so that you are really well familiar with what it's saying about your results. So it's broken down into different areas, and this first area is the profile area. So the first, I want to say 13, 14 pages is the profile area, and then it breaks it up into an interpretive report and goes a little bit more in depth. And in the first area, it's broken into 6 different sections. So this first section is probably the real meat that you want to pay attention to. And right here in the middle, it gives you your theme code. So this is called your strong theme code. And if you can remember back to the previous module where we went over a PowerPoint based on John Holland's work environments, and it had that little diagram that had the 6 different work environments, those work environments are the information is then used to create your theme code, your strong theme code. So remember, we had social, artistic, investigative, realistic, conventional, there's one more that I'm forgetting, enterprising. So based on your information from your strong assessment, your highest theme code is located right here in the middle. So for this individual, it was social, investigative, enterprising. Social being the highest, and you can see here the results. This individual scored really high with interests related to the social work environment. Some of you might only come up with 2 letters for your theme code, and that's okay. That's pretty common too, to just have 2 letters. So if you came up with just 2 letters for your theme code, that's okay. It should be a combination of 2 to 3 letters though. And so it'll give you a short description here of the type of interests, the type of work activities, the potential skills that are needed for these work environments, and the type of values that typically come up. Again, this may not all fit for you, but this is kind of a generalized information to keep in mind for these areas. So again, down here it shows how strongly you scored, how strongly your highest interest level to the least interest level is diagrammed here. On page 4, the basic interest scales really point to specific interest areas such as activities, projects, coursework, and leisure activities that you find may be personally motivating and rewarding. Sorry, I can't even speak today. And so again, it breaks it down with your highest area being here, and then maybe your second highest area being down here, and it goes from, again, highest to lowest. So you might have little interest in these areas, whatever your last area is here. And it shows here your top 5 interest areas. So for this individual, it shows teaching, social sciences, counseling. Again, it categorized your information into these different areas, all falling within the social, or sorry, for this individual, social investigative. So again, for you, it'll look a little bit different based on your results. Page 5 goes over specific occupations based on your results. And again, I want you to keep in mind that these are based on 130 occupations. So again, kind of like the MBTI, are there more than 130 occupations out there? Absolutely, but this is just kind of a starting point to represent occupations that might be similar. So if you see an occupation and you're like, no way do I want to do that, it's just representative of an area that you might want to further explore. So again, your results are based again against individuals who had very similar likes and dislikes that you also answered on the strong interest inventory. So your results were compared to individuals that scored in a similar fashion, and those individuals reported high job satisfaction in their careers. So that's suggesting that you might find satisfaction in those types of careers. Let's see. So again, at some of the occupations, it doesn't mean you should pursue this, but again, it's an example of a much larger group of occupational titles to consider. So again, it's a starting point, just something to potentially consider. On the next few pages, you're going to see it broken down by specific occupations. And again, it'll say here on the right-hand side, your results. You share, and again, this was, it's also based against your gender. Your results were, you have the same interests compared with your gender in that type of occupation, and you had similar interests and disinterests as the individuals who also your results are compared against. Sorry, breaks it down a little bit more. Your results compared to individuals who also scored similarly to you and showed high career satisfaction. So again, it breaks it down from highest to lowest. Does that mean don't pursue anything in this mid category? Absolutely not. It just means, hey, research it a little bit more. This is, again, just information gathering. Here we go. It breaks it down by different areas. When we get to page 9, it then breaks it down to personal style scales. So these scales look at different things like your work style, your learning environment. How do you like to learn? What type of environments do you do better in learning? Your leadership style. Are you a risk taker? Do you like risk taking? Are you team oriented? I think those are the different, those are the 5 different personal style scales. So again, these are also things to consider in careers. What type of learning environment? Is your career going to require a lot of didactic classroom learning before entering that career force? So one time I had a student who came in and said, I really want to be a doctor. That's what I want to pursue. And then the next statement kind of caught me off guard because he said, well, I don't want to go to summer school and I really don't want to be in school for a long time. I thought, well, if you want to be a doctor, you're going to be going to school for probably the next 8 to 10 years. And if you don't like summer school and you're not really big on, long formal educational pathway, being a doctor may not be the best career for you. And so you have to think about that for yourself. Are you looking at career fields that require a lot of formal education? Are you willing to or wanting to pursue a long pathway in formal education before entering the career force? So you got to think about your long-term plans. Do you like taking risks? Is the career that you're looking at involve taking risks and maybe doing something that's not so consistent and has you go outside in terms of not consistency all the time? Are you more like play it safe? Are you oriented to teams, or do you like working personally on your own? And so you can see here where your scores lie. Are you very clear on one end of the spectrum? Or are you right in the middle? You can take a little bit of both. Or are you, again, on either side means maybe you're leaning more towards one end of the spectrum. Right down the middle means, okay, you're a little bit of both. You can kind of adapt to both styles. So again, you have to look at your results and see where they laid out. And this on page 10 is just a summary of the information that was given to you. Your highest themes, your top 5 interest areas, occupations that you might want to consider, occupations where you had dissimilar interest, and your personal style preferences, kind of a summary there. It then goes down now into the college profile. So these are things that are kind of interesting, especially as you start your educational journey or you're here at the community college setting. So again, look at this shows you different majors to consider based on your theme code. So for this individual, social was the highest, and so these are the pretty popular majors that could relate to the highest theme code being social. Child development, counseling, religious studies, public health, social work. Those are all very fitting for those who score high in the social work environment theme code. And then it goes forward and forward, or goes forth with more information. These scales kind of talk a little bit about your overall lifestyle in and out of school. So the nice thing here is to think about, well, what else could you do besides your major? How else could you get involved outside of school that maybe kind of gives you experience with these types of work environments? So they have organizations, campus organizations and activities. So you can get involved here on campus, or internships and job settings, or even college courses. So again, based on your interest scales, how can you get involved on campus, off campus, or even just taking college courses that might touch on that type of subject area or that type of interest area. So that's really helpful because, again, when you're picking your classes and a counselor sits down with you and says, well, here's some general ed courses that you could take, you might want to think about, well, now I know my interest area, what type of courses could be beneficial to that? Because within that class, maybe the instructor has previous work experience that they talk about. Maybe they're going to talk about different careers related to religious studies. So again, it's a good kind of way to navigate maybe courses to take that could touch on that subject area for you. Then it talks again a little bit about specific jobs held by people with whom you share common interests based on the order of similarity of interest. So for this individual, the highest one here, their scores, they had very similar interests to individuals who are middle school teachers. So their strong interest inventory results had very similar answers from individuals who were middle school teachers and so forth. And again, these individuals say that they're very happy and satisfied in their career. So that's something that you might find satisfaction in as well, quite possibly. Then it breaks it up into educational preparation, courses, and related careers. It gets a little bit more in depth again into your personal style scale, your work style, learning environment, leadership style, and gives you some suggestions and things to think about on how to get more involved and utilize those skills that you might have. And then the interpretive report is going to go even more in depth. So you're going to get more in depth into the definition, the different career fields, personal descriptions, leisure activities that you like to do. And so what can you do? How can you take this information and now move forward with how can you get involved? How can you utilize those skills? What else can you get involved with? And some of it might make sense to you, but again, based on your theme code, you might want to think about, well, what's my second theme code? Maybe I can look into those activities as well. Maybe it's something that you haven't really thought of getting involved in. Here's some more selected career fields that you might want to look at on page 17. Based on your career motivators. This is a really helpful one to look at as well. What is your strongest career motivator? What motivates you in a career? And again, it keeps going into more information based on the type of interests. Here's work tasks related to these different occupations on page 19 and 20. And information related to different jobs and tasks to consider, to keep in mind. So that's your strong interest inventory report. If you have any questions on anything specific,